1, 2, 3. Thank you.
So he did the,
Before doing God,
and so then
This is.
hey,
Already there.
do what? He was the grown up in the room.
There.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So was it, I believe it is.
I was gonna say.
Okay. Next on the agenda, Quail Creek Paving improvements. Suzanne.
Yes, Commissioners. If you recall, in May of 2019, the City Commission entered an agreement with Occidental, which is the developer of the NDV Plaza addition. And the city committed to paying for a signal at Kansas and Quail Creek Avenue and extending Quail Creek Avenue to the west edge of the lots that are fronting on Kansas, shown in orange on the screen. We already have approved putting in the water line that will come along the back side of those lots from the north down, and then it will cross the street. Construction should begin on that as soon as Occidental does the grading on the site, because they have to do mass grading on the site.
Separately.
Please.
Okay.
I move that we receive plans and specifications for the paving of Quail Creek Avenue from Kansas Avenue to the western end of Lot 1, Block A.
My second.
So we got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number.
Yes, it would be I-1214.
I would move that we consider resolution I-1214.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? And the date was?
An action item. This is just review and comment. This is an agreement, interlocal agreement that the city would be entering into with the EDC, and essentially it delineates the funding responsibility of not only the city, but the other 7 partner municipalities: North Newton, Heston, Halstead, Sedgwick, Burton, Walton, and Harvey County. And it talks about the duties of the EDC. We don't need adoption tonight. I think what the thought process was have all 9 parties review it. If there's any edits, let's talk about them and come back with a final version. So if you guys have questions or concerns or comments, any edits, please share those. We don't need action. We don't want to approve it tonight.
Okay.
We don't need 9 different versions. So.
Yeah. And to add to what Chris just said, that this isn't changing anything that's currently already occurring. This is just
Formalizing it, right. EDC does on an annual basis.
And so the dollar,
EDC does on an annual basis.
and so the dollar amount will stay the same until the EDC brings it to us to change it.
Yeah, the process should be, even if it stays the same, they should still come prior to the budgeting session and tell you what that number is exactly.
It's been the same for several years.
Right. Section 2 is pretty vague as far as how that funding is and how it's shared amongst the entities and,
Right.
and all of that. And I didn't know if we needed that formula to be in there as far as is it population based? Is it revenue based? How is that?
I mean, that's feedback that I can give back to them if that's something that you guys would like to see in terms of how it's determined.
I would entertain it.
At one time, I knew.
Yeah, I knew one time too, that apparently 8 years ago.
Well, and that's why we put these things in resolutions and stuff, so then
So,
everybody knows.
and obviously, I guess it would have some. And obviously, with this being an interlocal. And obviously, with this being an interlocal, it would be the extra step of once all the parties do agree, it would be sent to the AG for a formal
Right.
approval there, which we're hoping to do by the end of the year. So I can bring back that feedback, and is there any other comments?
I didn't have any others.
No.
That's all staff needs, unless you guys have any other.
It's
Okay.
definitely a
read through it, I was
necessary
fine.
agreement.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so too.
I was waiting for Beth to respond, but she's not going to respond right away, so we'll move on. Okay, the city of Newton and the county. Can't get-
Oh, I see. Duh.
We'll move on to item number 5. Consider adding Southeast 14th connector to the snow and ice route. Do we do that with a resolution or ordinance? Or?
Route is to try and get within a few blocks of everybody's house of having a cleared street. We don't have the resources to clean every street. But taking into account, there was going to be quite a few more residential units added with Fox Ridge. And because 14th Street Connector has a pretty hefty curve there, so the geometrics of that curve tend to allow for more sliding, and there is no shoulders on that roadway. Staff is recommending that we add 14th Street Connector from Logan all the way to Spencer, which would be an additional 1.16 miles to the snow route. And it would be added as a priority 4. That's yellow on the map. And Denise has the proposed map shown there on the screen. The number 1 priority route is kind of the main corridor through the city, and it's shown in red on the map, and that's what we clear first. That helps get emergency services folks kind of right through the middle of the city and to the hospital if need be. And so then it goes to Route 2, which is shown in green, and so on. So this is asking to add, may get to, say, priority 4, and then priority 1 could close again, and then we have to start over before we're going to get there. So definitely every storm is different, and so I can't give you how it's going to work for every storm, but this is the order that we would go in.
But there's no additional staffing, no additional
We're not asking for
equipment
that.
or any of that.
No.
So you just need us to add it?
I need you to approve the proposed map with the additional 1.16 miles.
Well, I would move that we approve the map with the additional
I
1.6
second.
miles.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve adding this to the ice route. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? And that formula is based off of population and assessed valuation. On economic development. Discuss stormwater municipal NPDES permit and consider updating the stormwater management plan.
Yes, Commissioners, at your seat, water pollution control municipal separate water pollution control municipal separate storm sewer system permit, which we refer to as our MS4 stormwater permit. And as a part of that, we're required to have a stormwater management plan. When our new draft permit went out on public notice, we read through it, and I commented and sent a comment back to the state because they were asking us, they wanted to add Mud Creek to our permit. Mud Creek is the creek that kind of runs out by Lazy Creek. The overwhelming majority of Mud Creek is out in the county, not in the city. And so I definitely gave some comments to that and did not feel that it was appropriate for us to have to monitor and kind of definitely put best management practices in for that creek itself. And so those comments were made. I also made comments asking for us to receive credit for our BNR plant, our wastewater treatment plant. And it's important that I make the distinction. We are talking about stormwater, and when I talk about our BNR plant, that is it's because the city of El Dorado does this, but there are a laundry list of additional things they would want us to do in order for us to gain credit to do that, which is just a few points within our stormwater management plan. And so staff is recommending that we do not try to obtain points for the plant itself because there's many other things we would have to do. And in order for us to comply with this draft permit, we have to have a stormwater management plan in place. And that's what I am presenting to you this evening. Remember, we started this process back in 2003. We had to submit a notice of intent, and we have been complying with our permit ever since then. And so what I put here, see, and what Denise has shown here on the screen is the draft of this plan. And I've given you a lot of detail in the cover memo that I won't go into now, but if you want to know about this, bless your heart, I am happy to try and answer questions. But the stormwater management plan, it goes through several categories. The first is public education and outreach. And you'll notice that there are items that are listed as you get audited and the state reviews it. These are not just your $500 a day type violations. These are $42,000 a day violations. So we want to make sure that we're complying with our permit. So for public education and outreach, I have the items that are listed here. Many of these we already do today. They change the permit slightly. They require that we do certain things for each of these sections. And we have the ones included that we believe are appropriate and what they have required us to do. I'm happy to answer questions about those. I'm not going to go over every single one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In the second section is public involvement and participation. And you'll notice these are some of the things where we are getting the word out about stormwater, and you see that often in some of the posts maybe that Aaron provides, or we send a notice in your utility bill. We also give out a scholarship for somebody that's in the environmental field just to kind of make notice of this important topic. We also have groups that pick up trash along creeks and things, and that's how we gain points. We have to get the points in order to meet the permit. The third section is illicit discharge detection and elimination. This has taken on quite a life of its own here over the last several years because anytime there is a spill, some type of a penalty to them. And so we are doing that on multiple things. And the more we get the word out, the more we receive calls from the citizens telling us about these things. So there's illicit discharge detection and the items that we would suggest we gain points for to meet the permit. Then the fourth is construction site stormwater runoff control. Multiple items there, many of which we already do. They're already a part of our program. You know, they say you can gain points for this. We have to have ordinances in place that require if you have over an acre that you are disturbing, you have to have best management practices in place during construction. Then you also have to have post-construction, and that happens to be the fifth section of the stormwater management plan, which means after construction is done, what types of things are going to help clean that stormwater. Rain falls from the ground, hits the surface, it runs off and gets to in some body of water within our city limits, and we are responsible for the quality of that water that ends up in Sand Creek. So these are the best management practices, or BMPs, that we would be claiming points for. And we have to do these things and then track them. We have to have the paperwork that backs it up, too. We have to keep records of it all. Along the creek, we are required to have best management practices in place to address the total maximum daily load of nutrients that are within the stream. And there are several items here that we also have to do. And along with this, we are required to do surface water monitoring. So there's at least 4 different events during the year. When we receive a rain event, during that event, we have to go out and do grab samples in the stream and then turn those samples in. They have to go to a certified laboratory, and then the testing begins. We get the results back, and then in our annual report that we send into the state, we have to try to glean some type of results that make sense and what type of best management practices we can put in place to address any of the contaminants that we find in the water. So that is the very short version of this, but what we're asking you for this evening is for you to approve this proposed stormwater management plan. And this would then
And then that goes to my next question of, some of these items are, have the point value in black, some are in green, and there's a couple in red.
Yeah, I saw the red ones.
The red ones were the ones that, on section 5, the last one, post-construction.
Okay, I don't know where you're seeing the color.
For the point value.
Oh, here's the red one.
Yeah.
I don't, there's no difference. I don't know
No
what the color, what happened with coloring.
I didn't know if this was a reuse of a prior chart that was tracking, we had already met that one for the
No,
year or not, and it didn't
No,
reset.
no, I'm not sure how coloring came about on this. This is such a big document that we have to cut it and make changes. We can do that. If you want to see it again, you can.
Just
If
change
you-
that to black.
Oh,
Change
change
them to
it to black. You bet. You bet. But I need you to take action on it.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions or comments?
No.
I don't.
So I need a motion to approve the document as presented.
I move that we approve the document as presented.
I second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I appreciate you delivering that with so much enthusiasm.
You bet.
That,
Oh, but there's more.
okay, federal and state mandated, is that lead service line inventory update?
Yes. I don't know if you recall or not, but we brought to you the lead and copper rule revisions previously, but I want to bring corrosion on those pipes and the corrosion on those pipes. And the city of Newton adds sodium bicarbonate and sodium hydroxide to the water supply. This increases the pH, which in turn prevents the corrosion of our water pipes that are underground all throughout town. This was added to our city's Mission Water Treatment Plant back in 1998 is when we started that. And that was with the original lead and copper rule. Then in 2021, there was a revision to that rule by the federal government, and they finalized the lead and copper rule improvements, which is referred to as LCRI. This required an inventory of all of our underground water pipe systems. And then in addition to what EPA required, the state of Kansas, KDHE, required that not only those LCRI requirements were met, but for Kansas system to the house or the structure, that service line belongs to the property owner, okay? And so in order to meet these inventory requirements, we had to determine the line type of those service lines on both sides of the meter. And we went through that process. If you remember, we kind of started this here over a year ago, more than a year ago, because we were required by these regulatory agencies to provide the state with an initial inventory of lead service lines by October 16th of this year. And Newton staff completed the required inventory and submitted it on September 15th of this year. So we met that. That was the first threshold that we needed to meet. We talked about water service lines and who owns what. And now, in order to meet the inventory requirements, the city has to send out mailers to the property owners and the renters. Originally, we sent out those surveys. Remember, we sent out 8,009 of those to notify and try to obtain the information. And we did that. For the in-ground piping, no lead service lines were located on the customer side of the meter. So from the meter to the house or to the business. 12 lead service lines were found and removed on the city side of the meter. So once we find them, anytime we find something that's lead, we pull it out and we put new line back in. There were 992 galvanized services that were found on the customer side of the meter and 1 galvanized service line on the city side of the meter, and it was taken out and removed. So then the city was required to send out notices to those properties found to have lead or galvanized, because the corrosion could occur to those service lines if they're lead or galvanized. And we were required to send out information to them by November 1st of this year. We met that criteria as well. And I included in the packet a copy of the letter and all the information that we sent, just notifying those people, hey, this is what you've told us, and this, this could, any of the costs to remove the lead or the galvanized service lines on the city side of the meter, which we've already done all the ones that we know about, that is paid for by the water utility. But from the meter to the house, anything that's found, that's the responsibility of the property owner. all of the notification costs, because we've had to send a lot of information out, all of the costs of all those notifications is paid for by the water utility. And so right now, we've met every criteria we're required to meet by this lead and copper rule, by the revisions and any of the changes to the rule. There will be more coming. I don't know what all it will be, but I just want you to be aware, there will be more things that we are required to do as a part of this lead and copper rule. And I expect there to be additional revisions, and then we'll be notified what we need to do.
Okay.
But they, right now, are not providing individual property owner assistance.
Okay. So right now, we're talking about things that are on their side, the property owner's side of the fence, right?
Well, we're talking about on both sides.
Both sides?
Both sides.
All of ours is fixed on our side.
All that we know of is fixed.
That was a lawyer answer.
It's the truth, though.
It is.
Gosh, it's just a lot.
It
just
is.
Seems
Thank
like
you.
a lot.
Lots of work, something else to do in your spare time.
We have a lot of good staff working on this.
Yeah. Cool.
Can the drainage pipes be galvanized? Or is it just where the water that
Sewer
comes
pipe,
into the
a
home?
sanitary sewer pipe
Yeah.
could be, actually, I don't know if code allows that right now, but it could be. And because
They can pick up a puzzle board of any of the businesses that are participating, and when they finish the puzzle board, it is a picture. So it's encouraging people to shop local. It's kind of the Christmas open houses where you can go have goodies. It starts on Thursday, and then they have till Thursday, the 21st, to complete the puzzle board and get it in. So I have a puzzle board for all of you. We also, on Monday, wrapped all the poles downtown with greenery and bows, so we're all ready for our first snow.
not yet.
No. We don't want what
Thank you, Pam.
Colorado had,
Thank you.
that's for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So any questions? We are planning to do Deck Downtown, which is getting our businesses downtown to decorate their windows. That will start in December, and you'll be able to vote. Last year, we added a traveling trophy so that
Whatever you want to say, Rich.
None. Thank you. Thanks to everybody.
Yeah, I would just say thanks to everybody for what you do and all of this stuff with the lead and the lines. That's just, I have to admit that I really don't know a whole lot about the pipes and stuff that we have. I think you all had to help us with that. So, thank you.
I actually do have something I'd like to share because we like to tout our employees and our staff. Chris, I have to say this. I know that you probably don't want me to, but we were made aware that Chris, and I'm going to read because I don't want to botch this up. I'm going to read an excerpt that Aaron put in our newsletter this last week. So Chris received a distinction, a prestigious distinction of being named a fellow by the International Municipal Lawyers Association, I believe last month. Okay. He was presented with a distinction at his most recent annual IMLA conference, and this program recognizes attorneys as legal specialists in the field of local government law and encourages proficiency.
Close to March or whatever, when I was having issues with Jolyn and at the Town Towers, and I know a lot of people were having issues with that, and you had wanted to be updated as to the status of what had happened since that time. Well, since that time, I had applied for Section 8. She tacked fees onto me. I have had a relationship that's taken a heavy toll. We have a lot of issues, a lot of stress because of it, because when I was at the towers, although it wasn't the best and I wasn't the happiest, I could at least pay my bills, and I had already had a domestic violence relationship before that, and that left me with a huge outstanding electric bill, which I had a very hard time, about $200 to pay off, that I couldn't pay to turn any electric on. I got into another relationship about that, or a little after that, were around in that time. That has been very stressful since then because I'm not working. I was applying for disability. There's no way that I possibly can pay this right now, and my partner is handling all the bills. He's handling all the bills. He's taking on the water, the electric, the gas, the rent. You know, basically, he's taking everything on, and he feels like he's being used, and he's not. But that's how he feels, and I could see where he's feeling that, but that doesn't change the issues of causing us problems. She's basically put back to step one. I'm on the verge of being evicted again, thanks to that. And because just a lot of other things have occurred, and it hasn't been good, which I knew was going to happen if she did this. And, you know, I wasn't given an opportunity by the judge at the time of the eviction to have my witnesses speak. I was cut off because he was on a time frame, and therefore I wasn't given my chance to say anything, and the eviction went through. I was in no way prepared for it, being that she seemed to cause more problems than I was given. I mean, I denied me basically a board hearing that I had every right to have because she said that I owed money, and even if I owed money, I could reapply at that time and, you know, go about trying to get Section 8 again. Well, if she would at least give me the opportunity to give me the Section 8, then perhaps I could make payments to her and be able to pay her off, because then my partner wouldn't be taking on every single charge and every single amount of money that we owe, you know, to be able to, you know, pay our rent and pay the gas and electric with his job when I'm trying to file for disability at the same time, which was already in the process of, you know, being done. So it makes it really difficult. So, you know, my thought is on that. And I know that a lot of people also was having problems with her, doing the same thing, harassing, and a lot of people moved, and a lot of people were evicted, and there was you know, a lot of things that were occurring at that time. At one point, I had heard the fact that she was going to be replaced. I don't know about that for a fact on any of that. I don't think that she is without her presence so that I can talk freely without her being there, because I don't feel that what she did was right, and I don't feel how she treated me was right at all, because she's caused me basically to go back to another domestic violence situation, which the whole reason I moved into the towers was to get out of that domestic violence situation. And here I am once again in another domestic violence situation. That, again, you know, I blame a lot on Jolene. So, I mean, I probably don't know if that's right or wrong, but I feel like had I been able to stay where I was and I was able to still pay my bills, and, you know, knowing that I had outstanding bills I could not take care of at that moment in time, that what she did was very wrong. And I don't think that my infractions by any means were that serious to be actually evicted like I was. So that's kind of where I was at on that. So, you know, I really would like to, you know, kind of throw that out there for you guys maybe to look at again and consider that, because it's pretty, you know, that when you're put back into another domestic violence situation, again, it's really hard. It's hard. It feels like you're starting over at step one again, and you're fighting your way to the top again. So,
Forward with anything else.
right.
So that's probably going to take some time.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying, and
So that
but it's not going to be a,
overnight.
you know, quick fix type
Right.
thing.
The-
So
Here's the thing, what was it saying? I have 10 days to reply to her with an informal meeting. I mean, basically, I'm meeting with her again just so she can tell me no and throw it in my face, you know, that I owe her money. Well, you know, she didn't have to. Yeah, I mean, I know basically the last straw on her was that I refused to pay the $50 AC fee that I should never have been charged in the first place when I did everything correctly, and she did everything not correctly. But regardless of the fact, you know, at this point in time, not receiving this till the 11th of November, and it's dated November 5th, that's already 6 days gone, you know? So, yeah, I mean, that to me is like, that's not fair to have a final, and make that decision final without me even having a chance to talk to the board and explain my situation, because what she did to me put me back in a very dangerous spot again. And that's, yeah, it's made it really difficult.
I don't want you to think that we don't hear you, that we hear you, and we are trying to.
Okay. Is there any way that there's any, and I'm not going to say pull, that's not what I want you guys to do for me is pull, but the way to talk to the housing board to explain my situation, to see if possibly they can overturn this, or maybe go ahead and approve the Section 8. I would be more than happy to pay if that's what she wants. But I got to be able to help pay something also so that he's not having to shoulder everything so that I can pay her. Because without that, then how can I pay her? And so there you again is a catch-22, and I'm in the same position, and it's never going to be approved. So
She's wanting you to pay a past bill.
yeah,
you, utility bill?
$744. It's a $744 damage, $44 for damages and move-out charges.
How much is it? Sorry.
$744.
Is that electric, gas, water?
No, I have no idea. It's for for damages and move-out charges.
Oh, from when you were at the towers?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
So it wasn't for utilities?
No, utilities pay for, which is one of the reasons why I did go there. Not that I was extremely happy there by any means, knowing I have a camera.
Taking it to Jolynn and you're not satisfied with that, I would suggest that the next step would be that Newton Housing Authority Board.
Okay.
And I think that for this commission, I would advise them not to maybe get into the specifics on a case, but in terms
Right.
of big picture, how is the board, handling
Okay,
as a whole?
okay. And
So I would suggest,
can you give me an idea of how, do you guys have any numbers to the board or someone I can contact, or how do I go about doing
I think Denise
so?
has that schedule, right? I think we get notice of their schedules. They have
Okay.
open meetings, and I think you could,
Okay,
But I don't know.
we can get those dates for you.
okay. Yeah, she's just not, I'm not her favorite person by any means. So,
Speak 1 minute. We have received calls as well from the chamber about the director. They love living there, but they're wondering who's in charge of the director. So I just
Because
I was
she's-
needing to research that myself because
she's the president at those meetings, or do you know?
that's the fear of everybody from my caller that I got was the fear of
Jolynn, because,
thrown out.
mm-hmm,
They're afraid to come forward.
According to the letter that you have, you need to respond to her asking for that session, else the decision stands.
yeah, it's in 10 days, and I didn't get it till the 11th, so, but Jolynn, there you go, is an informal meeting, and I have to meet with Jolynn. That doesn't get me past Jolynn. I've done this before with her on violations that I've corrected and cleared up and taken care of and made changes to. And again, you don't get past Jolynn. Just like she does not tell you you're allowed to talk to the board. No, she doesn't give you that option. She says, you don't get a board meeting. You don't get to talk to the board because you owe money. You owe this or you owe that. You don't get past me. I'm it. That's it. That's all.
Meetings are open to the public, though.
Yeah, I believe
over
those
it.
meetings are open to the
For this
public.
person.
Kristen, do you have a way that I can get hold of you?
Okay.
I do.
If you'll stick around after the meeting? I'll-
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Here's your paper.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you so much, y'all. I really appreciate it. So, thank you.
Passionate, and we want to hear the whole story, but you guys just keep doing your great job, and we have rules and regulations, and I know it's hard to do sometimes, so I would never want you to think that we weren't behind you. So, anyway, and then this Ready to Run program that's started up, we're still looking for 2 or 3 candidates. So if anybody has any idea, we have a nomination form and we have an application. So if people are interested in running for elected local offices, then this is a program that they can receive training from the city, the county, and the school district. And you're not required to run for public office, but the intent is if somebody thinks they might want to run sometime, then this is a program that they should go through. And I'm pretty excited about it. Leroy and I, this is kind of a thing that came from Leroy and I talking about, how do we keep getting good leadership in elected officials. And we think this is all I had to share. All I had to share. Great rain in the last couple of weeks.
Wonderful,
This meeting is
wonderful.
This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Oh, Pam?